Advanced inequalities. This is just bringing in, we're going to have distributive property. We've got to keep an eye out for like terms before we start doing all of our inverse operations. We're also going to include a preview of what I would call an exception and try and explain that a little bit. You can see here that the notes, linear inequalities, variables on both sides, they're going to include the distributive property and like terms. Again, we still have to think about if we multiply or divide by a negative anywhere in the problem, then we're going to have to flip the inequality sign. And this is going to keep on holding true for all inequalities at all times. Let's go ahead and go through a couple problems. I'm going to use red to show the distributive property, which is going to be negative 2 times d, negative 2 times negative 13. That'd be negative 2d plus 26 minus 5 is greater than negative 3. So you can see I just went through, I took the number on the outside, multiplied by all of the things on the inside of the parentheses, and it created 3 terms. Now I'm going to use yellow to underline like terms. Those are the 2 terms that do not have a variable next to it, which means I can work with those. So negative 2d plus 21 greater than negative 3. Now this looks like a regular 2-step inequality. Minus 21, create the 0 pair. Negative 2d greater than negative 24. So far I still haven't multiplied or divided by a negative on both sides of the inequality, so nothing's changed. Here it is. Divide by negative 2. Flipping the sign, we're going to take the opposite of our values. So that's going to be d is less than 12. Just something you got to keep an eye out for. It's always going to be there, and it's just something you need to check off your list whenever you're solving an inequality. 8 times j, 8 times negative 5. 8j minus 40 plus 4 greater than 20. Now I'm going to use yellow to underline my like terms. Those don't have letters next to them, which means that they're just numbers and I can do regular operations with them. So 8j minus 36 is greater than 20. Now we're back to what looks just like a regular 2-step inequality. Creating a 0 pair with negative 36 or minus 36 by adding 36 positives. When I do to one side, I have to do the other. 8j is going to be greater than 56. This is where we're sitting there going, okay, am I going to be multiplying or dividing by a negative? Dividing by 8, dividing by 8. J is greater than 7. So in this case, no, we did not flip the sign. We didn't flip the sign because we did not multiply or divide by a negative right here. Go ahead and do that in yellow. Now to the exception, the reason that there's a star above it. All right, so something that's kind of unspoken about problems where you have a quantity or multiple terms in a numerator and you only have a term or something being divided as your denominator. Well, it still follows the order of operations, even though it seems like it's going out of the order of operations, because we've been solving them in reverse. We always start with addition, subtraction. So your first instinct would go, how do I get rid of j plus 5? Well, I have to do minus 5 to both sides, but we can't because that whole thing is being divided by 4. So the reason that we're going to be doing the division first and its inverse, which is going to be multiplying by 4, is because anytime you have a quantity like that in a fraction and there's more than one term, there's going to be parentheses, unspoken parentheses around that quantity. So j plus 5 actually has parentheses, which means that if we were solving the problem forward and we knew what j was, we would do the parentheses first. But since we're solving them in reverse, well, there's not any addition subtraction we can do, so we're going to start with multiplication division. After we get that cleared, then you're going to see that we solve the parentheses, which is something we typically do first, but we're going in reverse, so we're going to do it last. So times 4 times 4, now we're left with j plus 5. And this is the way that all of these are going to work out. If you see a quantity as your numerator being divided by something, and there's more than one term in your numerator, then you need to take this approach. Greater than or equal to negative 4. Now we're down to a 1-step inequality. We're pretty well versed in how to do those. Minus 5, minus 5. j is greater than or equal to -9. You see I did not multiply or divide by a negative in this process, so but if I did, it would have been right here. That is a +4, so we're good to go. Three distributed to t, 3 distributed to 14. Okay, so that's going to be 3t plus 42 less than -3. It looks like a regular old two-step inequality. Awesome. -42 minus 42. 3t is less than -45. Divide by +3. Cool, I'm not flipping a sign. T is less than -15.